In the game The Last of Us,
an outbreak of a mutant infection pandemic spreads around the world, turning those that are infected into
cannibalistic monsters.
Mankind divides itself into different groups trying to survive the harsh conditions present, trying to overcome them. The remaining people that had not been infected continue their attempts of survival. People kill one another, trying to obtain the resources essential for life and its prosperity, doing whatever they could to survive. This crisis continues for several years and eventually leads to the destruction of humanity. Hi, my name is Parth and I'm a water specialist. Let's dive right into the topic. We are currently facing a crisis, one bigger than anything that we have ever faced. Water, the substance required for life and its functions, is rapidly moving out of reach. Many people find this fact very hard to believe since 71% of the Earth's surface is covered in water. Where the problem lies is the fact that only
2.5% of all the water on Earth is fresh and only 1% is directly accessible to humans. The rest is trapped in glaciers and beneath the ground in aquifers.
This is the information the public is unaware of and is the reason why the fact is so hard to believe for many people. Our water supplies are decreasing faster than ever in an era where our demands have been higher than they have ever been. The cause of this crisis is the fact that we are overusing our most precious resource and polluting it at the same time.
As long as we can turn on a tap and clean water pours out, we take the resource for granted and waste it. But when you have to walk 5 miles every day for the resource essential for life, still with the risk of dying, you truly realize the problem that we have at hand.
Our careless usage has dried up many large bodies of water and aquifers.
This has caused serious droughts that have lasted for many years and still continue, the main ones including California.
In the Middle East, where instead of rivers with flowing water, they have rivers with flowing sand.
Our overuse of water mainly comes from advanced urbanization.
Cities like Las Vegas have dried up the main water sources around them and are trying to get their hands on bodies of water outside the region, out of sheer desperation. We have seen major changes to bodies of water and it is terrifying.
The hydrologic cycle is nature's way of renewing the system and keeping quantities in balance. We're drinking the same water the dinosaurs drank. That is the beauty of the water cycle. But when we use quantities of the resource that exceeds the capacity of the system to renew itself, we run into a problem. By Robert Glennon. We have caused the Aral Sea, the fourth largest freshwater source in the world, to reduce to a tenth of its original size.
Lake Victoria to half of its size.
And the Alps and the Sierras to lose a majority of their ice caps.
Even the groundwater, which took thousands of years to collect, is going to run out in several decades. Many of our daily activities have led to this. Everything from food to clothing requires massive amounts of water to produce. For example, 4 pounds of steak uses 18,000 gallons of water. Our t-shirt requires anywhere between 700 and 1,000 gallons, while a light bulb uses 14 gallons per hour. We are wasting water washing the dishes and overwatering the garden.
Depending on the region, watering the garden can account for 50 to 75% of household water use. That's 3 times the volume of Lake Mead, the largest reservoir in the United States every year.
If you have a pool full of water and you take out more than you put back in, eventually you're going to run out. That is essentially what's happening right now. Think of it this way. Imagine the water system as a glass of milk and a straw as a demand for it. Right now we have maxed out the demand for the resource and the milk is almost done.
However, the single largest contributor to the problem is the toilet. With every flush, it uses 6 gallons of water.
Another factor contributing to the problem is population growth. With 200,000 people being born every day, our total water usage increases to unfathomable levels. We can't supply an infinitely growing population with a finite amount of water. If we want to manage the problem, we have to become more efficient with our usage. We should install efficient toilets that only use 1.2 gallons and also reduce the use of paper towels. Water the yard with just enough water to keep the plants healthy, and get rid of leaks and just be cautious when using faucets and taking showers.
Out of everything, farming is the largest consumer of water, from 80 to 90% of all water being used solely to grow food.
We have to make farming more efficient by reducing the amount of water consumed by regulating the irrigation. Also, with adding organic matter, which helps hold more water for a longer period of time. We can grow the same food with much less water than we are currently using.
Pollution is also a major problem. 3.4 million people die every year just from waterborne diseases. We are contaminating our water with some of the most dangerous chemicals and substances that we know of. It is not only the developing countries that are facing contamination and sanitary problems. North America is facing the same problems as everyone else, just on a smaller scale.
Traces of many different types of chemicals have been found in water and rainfall, ranging from birth control to steroids, medicine, and waste. There have been many reports of people becoming seriously sick and even dying from these contaminations like E. coli and hexavalent chromium. Every single one of these chemicals are harmful and are causing cancer and birth defects. They are affecting babies before they even eat actual food. These chemicals are also affecting the environment, endangering and killing many different species like salmon and the delta smelt.
The most commonly used herbicide, atrazine, actually affects the hormones of many animals like amphibians and genetically changes their gender.
This leads to the collapse of many food chains and ecosystems that used to thrive, causing disorder and chaos to the world. We have to stop contaminating our water, and to do that, we have to stop throwing garbage in random places, because every piece of garbage affects the water, may it be bottles or bags.
Companies also need to find a better solution for their waste other than just dumping it into some random body of water. Laws should be enforced.
In response to these problems, the reaction is always that we have so much water on Earth, so why don't we just purify the ocean water?
The process of removing the dissolved salt from ocean water is called desalination.
It is something to think about if we want to tackle these problems, since salt water is abundant on the planet and it is reliable, but the cons of this method outweigh the pros. It is very expensive, massive amounts of energy is required, and the plants produce very dangerous greenhouse gases and leave brine, both of which destroy the environment. There is also no need to make these plants since we have many other methods that are more effective and safe, one of them being water recycling.
Water recycling is on a basic level just purifying the water that we have already used back into fresh water. First, all the solids that were in the water like waste, metals, bottles, etc. are removed. Then using filtration and chemicals like hydrogen peroxide, different chemicals like salts, contaminants, microorganisms, and viruses are removed.
This process can not only help us solve the water scarcity problem, but can even help us clean contaminated water and make the world a much safer place. This process doesn't cost as much as desalination and has no harmful effects on the environment. The only problem that we face is the fact that the public has to accept this type of water. When people hear that it is recycled sewage water, they freak out. The only way this can work is probably through celebrity endorsements and by informing the public about the process and the scale of the problem that we are facing. This is going to affect everyone. Without water, this planet will meet its end. Albert Einstein once said, "Those who have the privilege to know have the duty to act." There are many great people out there like Peter Gleek and J. Famigate who are trying to inform the public and help solve this problem. We have to follow their steps if we want to survive. This is not a problem that we can solve anymore. We can only manage it. This problem started around a decade ago when experts saw elevations decreasing at a rapid rate. If we continue on our path wasting water, there will be major consequences. If there is no water, the environment is going to be destroyed.
All vegetation and plant life is going to die without water, and this will cause the collapse of all ecosystems around the world.
First, all the herbivores will die, and the omnivores and carnivores will follow right after.
With that, there will be nothing to absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen, so in the long term, our world will be full of pollution.
Also, with no plants, all the ground cover will be lost and soil erosion will occur, interfering with the aquatic ecosystems. The entire world would face the most severe drought that it has ever faced. The economies around the world would also take a massive hit.
According to the Water Organization,
$260 billion are lost globally because of the lack of clean water and sanitation, and $24 billion are lost annually because of the time spent gathering water. With no water, all the industries will stop functioning, and to gain water, the costs are going to go up significantly. The production of all products like food, clothing, and even energy will stop, since these things require a lot of water to produce. Jobs will also be lost, and poverty will rise around the world due to the lack of clean water and sanitation. However, if we invest the money right now, it will help us manage the problem and will also benefit the economy of many countries. For every dollar invested into clean water and sanitation, it outputs $4 back into the economy. With universal access to clean water and sanitation, it will create around $50 billion in economic benefits due to the deaths avoided and the less cost of healthcare. On top of all those consequences, we humans would end up destroying ourselves. For the resource that we need to live, we would end up killing everyone else, even the people that we once considered family, fighting the cannibalistic monsters, doing whatever we can to get a single drop of water. If we don't solve this problem now, we will become the last of us.